Hello, everybody. I am Marlisha, also known as Marlisha Muses here on BookTube. Welcome to Marlisha's Meanderings, my channel. Um, I want to wish you all a happy Easter, happy Passover from the last week if you celebrated. I'm here today to do a book tag that I saw on Kevin Toll's channel. I'm not sure if that's his complete name. He'll be in the description below the video. But he said the original tag came from, let me put on my glasses, from Royson's Reading. I think that's how you say that, Roisins Reading. That'll also be in the description below the video. And what this video is to answer the questions about how you're doing on your reading goals. I don't do reading goals because they kind of stress me out. I have kind of a loosey-goosey kind of way of reading. I read for mood, and I read just to enjoy myself, not to stress myself out. But having said that, I'm going to have a go at answering these questions. Now, I know it's the middle of April or almost the end of April, but I'm going to answer these as far as I can remember, as if we are talking about the end of March, because that's the end of the first quarter. And I will start from there. Please forgive me for looking down. I have to read the questions and see what I put on these for answers because I'm a little nervous about this for some reason. This is my second time doing this today. Okay, how many books have you read so far? Okay, if I stick to the end of March, I've read about 30 books, and that is about 54% of them are hard copy, and of the remaining 46-ish%, I have them evenly divided pretty much between digital and audio. Audio is not my preferred. I don't remember as much, but sometimes that's the best way for me to get a book read. Have you already found a book that you think might be a 2025 favorite? No, not yet. I've had a couple that have seemed interesting, but not a favorite as of yet. Any one-star books or least favorite book of the year? Yes. I did a buddy read with Faith. I think her channel is Faith Reads, but I'm not sure. She will be in the description below the video. The book is called Elizabeth and Her German Garden, and I forget who the author is. It's Elizabeth Van Arnhem, I think, is the author. And I've been debating about doing a review on that book, but since I don't have the hard copy, I'll just kind of give you a quick one-off or my thoughts of this book. Elizabeth and Her German Garden is it's kind of in a memoir diary kind of form, and it sounded interesting. I'm not really a gardener, but I had an open mind. I wanted to do a read along with Faith, and I said, okay, I'll give this a try. And I really tried to be open-minded about it. I had the hard copy first off, and it had a beautiful cover, flowers, beautiful cover. I opened the book and I could not read it, not because it was illegible, but because the print was so small and the margins so narrow. It was very difficult for me to read, even with my glasses, without dropping to the wrong line. So I broke down and I got a Kindle version, which was easier to read. If you like gardens and flowers and things like that, this might be the book for you. I found it a little tedious, especially in the beginning, because not being a gardener, I found all the descriptions of the flowers a little too much. I understand that's what she was interested in. It's about her garden, but she would talk about the flowers, but not describe the flowers. I would have liked to have had more engagement with her visual experience of the flowers. What color are they? How do they smell? And that kind of thing. Because as it was just all this description, and since I didn't know what they were, it was like an abstract, or telling someone who's never been able to see what a color looks like. It was very off-putting for me, and I found her to be selfish and an unlikable narrator. It was very difficult to get any connectivity with the book. It was also not really labeled well. I mean, when I first bought it, I thought it was a memoir. When I looked at the back, it said fiction. And when I looked it up on Amazon, it said the description had memoir and fiction and a few other things, historical fiction, whatever it was, but it was like a mismatch. So it was difficult to classify. Finally, they brought people in, more people in, and her interactions with other people I found to be off-putting. I know that the relationships, without giving away a lot, there's a lot of classism in it. But that was the time period. That's not what bothered me. What bothered me was the meanness and the mean-spiritedness and the self-centeredness of the characters. I found it really hard to get past. I did understand what was going on, and it moved faster when other characters came in, but I just couldn't get past the fact that she was so self-centered. I liked the fact, I understood and I could empathize with her need as an introvert to get away and to be in a place of solitude where she could just enjoy nature or be by herself. But it was almost at the expense of everything else. And it was very difficult for me to complete the reading. Even when I finished the notes as well, which gave some historical perspective on it. But in the end, I think I rated it maybe a 3.25, which is pretty low for me. I don't usually rate that low. And I know that some of the people in our group really liked it, and maybe others will as well, but I just didn't care for it. So that was my book that probably my lowest rating is Elizabeth and Her German Garden. And it is considered a classic, but I didn't like it. My most read genre so far, I had to go to my Storygraph account to look for that, and it seems that my classics are outstripping everything, and then a tie between mystery and crime fiction. They're literally tied, and then very close behind that is my religion. I have found that the books that I'm reading tend to overlap, so a lot of my classics tend to be mystery / crime, like Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes, Dorothy Sayers. Also, a lot of my religious books can be in that time period, some of them. So I have some overlap in that. A book that surprised me is, a book that surprised me, I'd have to say Jane Austen, the Jane Austen series. Not a book in particular, but the series. I think I might have mentioned before that I got interested in Jane Austen when we were living in England and we were getting ready to go back home to the States. I couldn't sleep, so I was watching old movies on the TV, and Jane Austen came up, BBC version of Jane Austen. I forget who was in it, but it was very well done. It was Emma, and I just fell in love with the whole story and everything. So I didn't think about reading it right away. I was homeschooling, and I had a lot of other things going on. I apologize for these glare on my glasses. I don't know what to do about that. I didn't read Jane Austen for years. And then I thought, okay, I liked Emma. I'll start with Emma. And that's what I did. I started with Emma, and I hated it. I thought she was manipulative a little bit. Well, maybe not manipulative. There was a little bit of manipulativeness in there. She, just not a real likable character. And from what I understand from my daughter, from Talia Nerds Out, is that she was Jane Austen's most difficult to like character. You had to be Jane Austen to really like her, I guess. But in any event, I didn't want to read her. And Talia has been trying to get me to read Jane Austen. I kept evading it and rebuffing that. And finally she said, look, Mom, I'll read all of the Anne of Green Gables series if you will try Austen. So that's what we're doing. She's reading the Anne of Green Gables series, and I'm reading Jane Austen. Actually, we're reading Jane Austen together. And we've done, I think, 3 or 4 books now. We're reading Mansfield Park right now, and I've loved all the books so far. Easily has a chance to be, I think I said in one of my other videos, the chance to become a series that I will reread. Now, we're reading, as I said, Mansfield Park at this moment. Emma is next, and that will be where the fat hits the fire, because that was the book that turned me off of Emma. Okay, turned me off of Jane Austen. So in the meantime, I'm enjoying the books. When I get to Emma, well, you'll hear about it. You'll hear about how I feel about that. I'm looking forward to that. But that's my surprise, is that I even am considering reading Emma, maybe with more experience of Jane Austen. It'll be an easier read for me, and I'll understand better where the author is coming from with that character, and we'll move forward. And I know there are books behind that that I want to read as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's see. A book that's come out in 2025 already that you want to read but haven't yet. No, not at this point. I don't generally read new books unless I get recommendations from people I trust, because I find it very difficult to find an author that I will like who meets my criteria. I'm strictly a PG-13 reader. I read a lot of young adult, but even that's kind of getting hard because I don't want to read adult situations. I don't want crass language or God's name in vain. I don't want sexual situations, and it's very difficult to find books that don't use that and have a. I find, and this is probably unpopular, but I find that it seems that there's a trade-off, that the more they use that kind of stuff, the less good the writing is. And maybe that's not a fair assessment, but it just seems like they rely too much on that kind of stuff, kind of like the movies relying on not CGI, but yeah, CGI, but just all the explosions or all the action and CGI and all that kind of thing to make the movie go forward at the expense of the writing and character development. And I find that a lot of times in my reading, in the books and stuff, when I was trying to find newer authors, there was a lot. I had one author who every chapter I tried to read, and every chapter had a situation graphically described, and what I did was I'd flip through, and finally I just tossed the book. I couldn't read it. So yeah, I find it very, very hard to find a book that is new that I want to read. The exception being things that are put out by people like Robert Barron or Scott Hahn, or or if you want to go fiction, Timothy Zahn or somebody like that. Let's see here. One goal you made that you are succeeding at. Okay, I really wanted to read more consistently, which I have been doing since last year, but I also wanted to kind of widen my horizons for reading. Usually, if you went back a couple of years, you'd see that I was almost predominantly fiction and almost predominantly fantasy and sci-fi fantasy and mystery. Now I'm putting in things like history and memoirs and biographies and yeah, and classics. I do like classics, but classics tend to be where I don't have to worry about stuff so much. Okay. One goal you made that you need to focus on. Okay, I'm a competitive person. If I'm going to be involved with something, I have to be all in or all out, and that can cause stress. So I have to be really, really careful with BookTube that I don't feel like I have to be part of all the read-alongs or all the book. I don't have to be part of every read-along. I don't have to buy every book that looks interesting. I don't even have to do every book tag. I love being tagged, but I have to work on not feeling like I have to answer every tag. I love being tagged. I just have to remember that I only have so much time in the day, and so I don't need to stress about maybe not being able to answer all the tags. So yeah, I need to focus on allowing myself to have fun with BookTube, answering the tags I want to, watching the BookTubers and other videos that I want to, reading the books that I want to, and remembering I don't need to buy all the books, because I already have a lot of books. I know you can never have too many books, but the space in my house says otherwise. It demands discretion. So, okay. Yeah. All right. New to you booktubers that I want to recommend. Booktubers, bookstagrammers. I don't know any book talkers or book talkers. I guess that's book TikTok. I don't know. I'm not very computer savvy. Um, I don't have any bookstagrammers that I follow who aren't booktubers. So I'm going to stick with the booktubers that are new to me. Keep in mind that you may have heard of these people from me before, but I am a relative newbie. I've only been here for maybe 6 weeks to 2 months. So I don't have a lot of people. So you're going to hear the same people probably that you've heard me mention before. I would recommend, of course, Talia Nerds Out. That's my daughter, and she got me involved with this. And let's see. I am going to tag all these people. I should have done this earlier, but I'm running late today, so I didn't. Kevin from he's Tevin Tolles. I'm not sure if that's his correct handle. I will put all the correct people in the description box. They're correct handles. So Kelly, I think it's Kelly Reads Books, and then Faith. I think it's Faith and Reads. I think it is. I will, as I said, tags down below. I think it's CG Rated Books or CG Rates Books. Charles, I think is his name. He's fabulous. He makes me laugh every time I watch him. He makes me laugh. Book Zealots. Ariane is amazing. Her son Prometheus is wonderful. Very smart young man. I think it's Victoria Trudy. Okay, the other one that I want to tag. And they, as I said, they will all be tagged at the end of this video because I should have been better prepared, but I wasn't. I do want to thank Kevin, Kelly, Arian, and Charles because each one of them either spotlighted or shouted me out or me and Talia out together, and we really appreciate them. And when you look at the tags on my video, if you haven't checked these people out, please do so. They're well worth watching. I enjoy them immensely. So I will tag some people for this video. If you want to do this the quarter year crisis book tag yourself. If you've already been tagged by someone else, if you've already done that, I apologize in advance, and just feel free not to do it. But if you do it, tag me so I can watch it, please. And in the meantime, I wish you all a blessed remainder of your weekend, and I thank you for joining me here. I'm so used to doing our PHM podcast with Talia that I automatically say us. So glad that you joined me here for my time here in the Marlicia's Meanderings. And I hope to see you again next time I record. God bless and have a wonderful weekend.